Hi, my name is Jessica, and today we will be presenting Jeopardy. So this is the code for Jeopardy, and here is the actual Jeopardy game. So how it works is that in each of these are buttons, and every time you click on one of the buttons, you receive a question, and then you're supposed to answer that question. And when you want the answer or want to check the answer, you click Show Answer, and based on whether or not you got it correct or wrong, you click one of the side buttons. So if you got it correct, it adds onto the score and it appears on the bottom. And click on the next one. If you got this one incorrect, then it subtracts from the score and the score shows on the bottom. And yeah, that's how this game works. Now we're going to move on to the code to render categories.
Hi, my name is Mekdes, and render categories is a function that has a for loop which loops over each categories in the array. In result, it updates the HTML by adding the categories from the array to the top of the page. And the data structure that is most important to render categories is an array and is the most important because it's where the categories are being stored. And methods are different from functions because they live in other data types such as arrays, objects, functions, and strings. And the jQuery append method is seen in the render categories. We access it using dot notation and it lives upon the jQuery object. A method that is different from functions is a set of instructions are associated with an object, which is AA dot to uppercase or dot notation. And a function is a set of instructions that perform a task. And the most challenging thing was looping the array of categories to a div. And some examples are string concat and learning loops. And I'm now passing it on to a render questions.
Hello, my name is Laura and I am in charge of render questions. So, render questions is just rendering or appending the questions into the page since the values and the questions are already part of an array. So here we're using loops to repeat a block of code multiple times in order to append the questions into the page. So we have a nested loop, which is necessary because we need to repeat blocks of code multiple times inside the run of one loop. So here we have the outer loop, which runs 6 times, and the inner loop, which runs 5 times every time the outer loop runs, making it 30 runs for the inner loop total. The most challenging part was the fact that the directions for this specific category were a bit off, which messed up a lot of code, so I had to start from scratch. I am now handing it over to click handlers.
Hi, my name is Luidgi, and I'll show you click handlers. Click handlers execute certain code when a specified HTML element is clicked. Some of the functions inside the click handlers .js file are get or are question on click, attach click handlers, answer answer on click, hide question pop-up, and get question. Starting at attach click handlers, I'll tell you what each of them do. Attach click handlers allows each of the buttons to be clicked on and do something. And then the next function, question on click, chooses whether or not to show the answer or show the answer or hide the question and go to the main menu. Get question is used to get the question for the specific button. Hide question pop-up goes to the main menu. And answer on click shows the answer when you click the answer button. And now we're going on to scoring.
All right, so scoring in this the code for scoring controls the score that you receive on Jeopardy. So it starts at 0, and then based on whether or not you get a question wrong or right, this code controls the adding and subtracting to that score. So the functions involved in this in scoring are rendering scoring buttons, subtract from score, and add to score. So rendering scoring buttons is a higher order function. And what it does is that it shows the score so that it appears on the screen, and it also attaches click handlers to the incorrect and correct button. So when you click on the correct button, it adds to the score if you got the question right. And if you got the question wrong, you click on the incorrect button, which subtracts from the score. It also is supposed to show and hide the incorrect button and the correct button appropriately, so it doesn't appear all the time. The functions that the render scoring button calls on are the add to score and subtract from score functions. So the subtract from score function takes the current score and subtracts from it, and then it and then it changes it, and then the add to score does the same thing, except it's adding on to the score instead of subtracting. And a mini function within these functions is the get current score function that isn't in this isn't in this file, but it's in another file. It just gets the current score. And yeah, the most difficult part of this was understanding the code because we didn't write the HTML, we had to interpret it, and it was hard to know like what these IDs were calling and to actually understand the code. So you had to look into the HTML to understand where everything was and what everything was. And that is Jeopardy.